Once upon a time, Akpan was a poor fisherman. He lived with his wife in a small hut and he was very contented. One very early morning, Akpan set out to the village river as usual. It was just a normal day like every other day. When he got to the river, he met some other fishermen as well and they exchanged pleasantries. He went straight to the business that brought him to the river, praying in his heart for a good catch that day so he could have something to eat with his family. He toiled and toiled, but was only able to catch a very tiny fish. He was disappointed. He brought out the tiny fish, looked at it, and thought if he should throw it back into the river or take it home, his wife would complain either way. It was a beautiful shiny fish. Akpan thought of what he could do with the tiny fish, and he decided to be grateful for the little fish and to keep it, hoping for a better catch the next day. He tried casting his net a few more times before setting out for home in his boat. While rowing his boat to go out of the river, he heard a tiny voice say, "Can you please put me back in the river? Don't take me away from the river. If you spare my life, I will grant whatsoever wishes you have." Akpan was startled. He wondered where the voice came from. The voice repeated, "Can you please put me back in the river? Don't take me away from the river. If you spare my life, I will grant whatsoever wishes you have." Akpan then realized it was the fish talking. The fish continued talking. "I am a princess fish. Please let me go back into the river, and I will grant whatever wishes you have." Akpan thought for a while and said, "I have no wishes. I live with my wife and we are fine as we are, but I will let you go." The princess fish was so happy and thanked Akpan. She told him whenever he needed anything, he could come to the same spot and call her out, and she would grant his wishes. Akpan threw the princess fish back into the river. Though contented, Akpan did this out of his kindness. When Akpan got home, he told his wife about the princess fish. She got so upset and she said, "What do you mean? If you are comfortable with poverty, I am not. You will go back to the princess fish and request a mansion." Akpan went back to the river at the same spot and called out, Princess fish, I have a wish to make. My wife has requested that I wish for a mansion." The princess fish came out and replied, "Your wish has been granted. Go back home and you will see it." Akpan got back home and met his wife so happy in a very big house. The next day, when she woke up, she said, "My husband, now we live in a mansion, but the things we have in it are too cheap and local. Go back to the princess fish and ask her to give us expensive furnishings in the house." Akpan went back to the princess fish to make the request, and it was granted. The next morning, Akpan's wife complained of her clothing, her jewelry, her shoes, saying they no longer complement their status, and asked Akpan to go back to ask the princess to give them expensive clothing and shoes. Akpan set out to the river to make the request. The princess fish granted the request. The next day, Akpan's wife complained again that the house chores were too much for her and she needed some maids to help around the house. Akpan went to the princess fish and made the wish, and she granted the wish. The next morning, Akpan's wife complained that they needed security guards in the house, since they now had expensive items in the house and they may be robbed at any time. Akpan went to the princess fish to make the wish. It was granted. Akpan's wife kept asking and asking for more and more. One day, she said to Akpan, "Now that we are very rich and we have everything, go to the princess fish and tell her that you deserve to be the king and I deserve to be the queen. Akpan was not happy with this request, but he thought to himself, if this will make her happy, I will go. Akpan went to the princess fish and made this request. As soon as he finished speaking, the princess fish became very upset. She said to him, I have tolerated you and your wife for too long. I have granted all your wishes, but I now see you can never be satisfied. Now go back home to your vain wife and your poor hut and remain as poor as you were. Akpan ran back home and met his wife in their poor hut. Then they realized their greed that had led them astray. Akpan and his wife returned to their humble huts, regretting their actions and vowing to appreciate the simplicity of their former life. The moral lesson in this story is that we should be contented with what we have. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share with your friends. And please subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching. Bye.